What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 0.92% in the red, 27.41 the high, 26.74 the low. So quite the volatile day. But we did see very low volume. So 26 million shares being traded, 55 is the average. And most of the volume did come from algorithmic trading. So this is kind of the flow. And as I've signaled in the past, a lot of the smaller transactions right here is just linked to algorithmic trading. So AI was moving the market based on a lot of things I'll kind of go over in a second. Starting off with macro data. We did have a couple of things that came out first thing. So pending home sales, both month over month and year over year, came in better than anticipated. So signaling a little bit of an increase in demand. So that's always a positive. But Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index came in at negative 10.9, forecast of negative 2.5, signaling that there was more contraction than what was anticipated. Normally, the market would actually take this negative data and spin it as a positive to justify a further rate cut, but there was bigger situations happening in the broader market today. So in case you guys didn't see, oil did go up 2.19%, and that's largely because of Iran. So Iran president says US, Israel, Europe waging full-fledged war on country. So Iran kind of poking the bear a little bit with the states. Trump was very active, saying some pretty bold statements against Iran today. Most likely nothing's going to amount from any of this, as what we've seen many times in the past, but still the market doesn't like uncertainty such as this. So in general, that's one thing that kind of was plaguing the market. Second point was, interestingly enough, was silver. So silver's gone on a very epic run, as you can kind of see from this chart. Over the last 5 days, it did have a high of about 83 and change for the most part. And so even over the weekend, I saw nothing but just silver especially on my timeline for Twitter. Everyone and their dog was talking about silver, and some was kind of hating on this individual, 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛, who does, on a side note, have me and many other individuals who say anything negative about him blocked. But supposedly he did make $160,000 shorting silver when it went nothing but up. So definitely, I think that there's this is why, again, a lot of social and influencers, as you call them, many of them you can't be trusted. A lot of them just have ulterior motives, and even very important, even everything that I say, do your own due diligence. Fact check everything that I kind of go over and whatever else. So yeah, just fun facts. But anyways, one main reason why the broader market was kind of so volatile today was because of silver. So silver was on a huge run, but despite that though, in banks' infinite wisdom, many of them decided to short silver. And so on December the 26th, there was a loan of roughly around about 18, just shy of, so $17.25 billion that was given to avoid a margin call. So silver running up as much as it did put a huge strain on the broader market. Most likely, several banks are going to probably come out insolvent, possibly. I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether they were actually margin called, because there was several banks that kind of fall under this umbrella. But nonetheless, very interesting kind of events, right? So because silver ran up, that and just the fears associated to just banks potentially being insolvent, similar to what actually happened, I believe, in like 23 with Silicon Valley, and I believe there was one other kind of smaller regional bank in 2024. That kind of ripples across the broader market. So single-handedly, this is everything that really affected the broader market. Today, SoFi, there wasn't really anything that came out associated to them. So no press releases, no SEC filings. You did have SoFi Insider on social media bringing up something pretty interesting, mind you. And I don't know why someone always needs to swear. But nonetheless, you can kind of see that this Kristen M. Cook, Executive Communications Employee Champion, does say if you think 2025 was big, just wait until you see what's planned for 2026. So when a employee actually posts that, you know that there's some big things coming. So I get it. A lot of my videos are kind of oriented towards like day-to-day price action, like what's happening right now, what's happening in the next week. But if you think bigger picture, like by the end of 2026, all of this is just noise, temporary noise. And I think SoFi is definitely making some pretty big strides and will be very successful. But getting right to some of the data points, shorts did increase a staggering 3.9 thousand. So pretty much nothing for the most part. 9.48% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 117.46 million shares overall being shorted. Shares on loan have been dropping quite a lot, but yet shorts have been kind of maintaining their position. So there's still that weird scenario of naked shorting occurring. So definitely some sketchiness is happening. DTC is going up 1.74 days, not because shorts are doubling or tripling down, but because SoFi's average volume is actually dropping. And all of this is just metrics and kind of ratios. So DTC does factor in the average volume for SoFi in comparison to number of shares being shorted. So if the volume is dropping, then this is why you are seeing this move higher. But still, nonetheless, it does signal that shorts are fairly overextended. Looking at the options, 26 million in calls, 6.4 in puts. 47% of all the options being done were bearish in nature. And so yeah, even common stock as well as through options, we did see very, very low volume. From a bull standpoint, you still see some optimism that it'll be above 28 by the end of this week. Bears are anticipating for it to be kind of between that 25, 50, and 26. So more consolidation is anticipated, and that's not just SoFi, but pretty much every stock that I looked at. There is a lot of bears anticipating kind of a further push lower. So again, maybe they're anticipating some escalation coming from Iran, or maybe some actual margin calls did occur, and just some news about that. As I mentioned at the very beginning, most of the volume did come from algorithmic trading. And these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So largest was 25.6, 9.7, 3.6. All these transactions were buys with the exception of this bid, 2.41. But still, in comparison to kind of the norm, this is rather low. So normally we see a full page of more than $1 million transactions. So this is kind of quiet stuff. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So we only had so far one transaction after hours. So similarly, that's very quiet, and only 2 transactions above $1 million. So definitely shows that maybe hedge funds and whatever are just quiet today. Aside from that, with it closing at 26.82, it is right below this S1. So 26.86 is going to be that key point. You really want to watch for it to get above. If not, you could see some kind of further consolidation. 26.68 and then 26.37 as support levels, and then 27.17, 27.47, and 27.66 is going to be the next strong kind of target / resistance points. I'm looking at the 4-hour chart, so this is more oriented towards swing traders and day traders. But aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, it is still doing somewhat okay. Today it did break below that 100-day moving average, so that green line right there. It still is above that 100-day moving average, so signaling a little bit of momentum. And I get it, a lot of people kind of always crap all over SoFi for kind of breaking down, but in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, it's actually doing very well. Most stocks that I kind of looked at today and did videos on, they're full breaking down. So if SoFi does break below that 10-day moving average, then yes, most likely you could see some consolidation. Looking at stochastic RSI, it is at 81, so that is considered rather overbought. So first sign of weakness, again, you could have this type of price action, just more consolidation. There really wasn't that much in news or any articles really coming out about SoFi whatsoever. But aside from that, looking at the market position, you see, especially comparing it to Friday, a little bit more willing sellers right here, close to around that 27 and above, and then not really much for willing buyers. So it still at this stage in the game could go either way. I'd like to be more on the orientation of being bullish, and so I think in general it could go either way. All it needs is a nice gentle push, whether it be above, and then we could see that $28 to $29 range, or if the broader market is just wants to start 2026 in the red, Then again, if it does break below that 26, then you could see kind of further consolidation and similar price action to November the 21st, where it did have that low of 23.52. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. What have you been doing? Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you generally doing with SoFi? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.